rate on the water bill is that is a consistent revenue that we can count on, as opposed to a sticker revenue that fluctuates and it can be up and down from month to month. So the consistency of the monthly charge is definitely the big plus for that.
What do you think about it? Next week, Wilson will give the council an estimate on a proposal that calls for stickers on bags of yard waste. Tabled for 1 week is a proposed 19% rate increase on city water bills. The fee would help pay for water distribution improvements. It's been 10 years since an increase has been charged. Also delayed, a vote on Mayor Chuck Schultz's proposed ordinance to crack down on underage drinking. This plan calls for prohibiting underage drinkers from entering nightclubs. Schultz says there is a concern about not allowing minors in clubs that offer country music lessons to parents. The measure will be amended to take care of that concern. Aldermen are expected to vote on the new city law in 2 weeks. In other city business, aldermen gave no opposition but gave no vote either on allowing Quincy's Blessing Hospital to borrow about $45 million through a city bond issue. One question raised came from Alderman Terry Grusemeyer. He said he's heard rumors that Blessing is interested in buying another hospital. But Blessing officials assured him that isn't true, and the bond money would stay in Quincy. A public hearing on the matter was set for June 14th. After that, aldermen will make a decision. The plan does not involve Quincy tax dollars. Amy Kane, KHQA TV 7, Eyewitness News, Quincy.
In other city news, a new building program could give several uptown businesses a major facelift. Today, Chuck Schultz announced the start of the mayor's Pride in Buildings program, which will encourage business and property owners to repair their uptown businesses. George's Discount Store at 532 Hampshire is one of the first properties to take part in the program. Schultz says the repairs are just part of the overall development of uptown, including the J.C. Penney building project.
Everything is set and the financing seems to be in place. We hope to announce to the City Council our plans for the Penney's building and for the rest of this block. We're going to see at least a couple $1 million invested in this block alone, which is a very, of course, key part of our core business district. So things are on the positive upswing for downtown Quincy.
And the help of the mayor and the assistance of some of the other people, we're going to go ahead and take a step and go out and take a chance, and I think we'll make some money on the overall project in the long run.
Property owner Jim Smith says it will cost up to $20,000 to redo the outside of George's Discount Store, as well as upgrading the inside to meet all building and fire codes. The 4 apartments upstairs also will be repaired. Private funds will finance the project. Boatman's Bank will help with the masonry work on the west side of the building. Schultz says he'll reward property owners for their work and commitment to helping clean up the business district.
Union workers in Meredosia, locked out of their jobs at Central Illinois Public Service Company, have set up camp in front of the company's facility there. Company officials won't let them pass the front gate. Last Thursday, CIPS accused workers in Central and Southern Illinois of staging a slowdown. Workers deny the charge, and they have staged an informational picket. Union Representative Phil Koppelman explains why.
Starting today is an information line. We're going to put up the signs and let the public know that we are willing to go work and the company has locked us out.
Koppelman and Jack Gregory are part of a team of union officials from Local 148 who will meet with a federal mediator and CIPS executives tomorrow to try to settle a contract dispute. Workers say the company is asking them to pay too much for health care. But until the dispute is resolved, workers like Bill Murray will stay outside.
But if the union wants to stay out here as long as it takes, that's what it'll be.
Workers aren't being paid and they're not receiving benefits during the lockout. The dispute also involves workers from the Electrical Workers Union, Local 702. The federal mediator will meet with them and CIPS on Wednesday.
Missouri State Auditor Margaret Kelly says the tax increase approved by lawmakers to finance education may be illegal. According to Kelly, the tax hike may exceed the maximum allowed by law without a vote of the people. She says the bill could trigger a tax refund under the provisions of the Hancock Amendment. Kelly, a Republican, says the Democratic Carnahan administration has misled the public to the contrary.
Well, coming up later in this newscast, Phil Johnson tells us why we'll love that outlook.
Rick Thurtle has your Monday night sports update.
And on the way, Robin Nance tells us how wearing a helmet may save your child's life in her Safe Kids report. FEMA, the Federal Energy Management Agency, is urging all Marion and Pike County, Missouri residents affected by recent floods to apply for assistance regardless of their income or insurance policies. Governor Mel Carnahan this weekend announced Marion County had been added to the growing list of disaster areas because of extensive flooding. The declaration means eligible residents can receive grants, loans, unemployment assistance, and other government help. To register, call 1-800-462-9029. Anyone with flood-related losses can apply. At this time, 7 Missouri counties, including Pike and Marion, are included in the disaster declaration.
The Quincy Salvation Army is collecting clothing and other items for 3 families left homeless by fire over the weekend. The Teresa Nolan, Anita Kuntz, and Donna Helmick families lost all of their possessions in the separate incidents on Sunday. People can call the Quincy Salvation Army at 222-2087 for information about clothing sizes and other needs.
Carol, here's a question every parent should ask themselves tonight. Do you wear a helmet when you ride a bike, and how about your children? This week's National Safe Kids Week, and one of the thrusts of the week is bicycle safety.
KHQA TV 7 Eyewitness News reporter Robin Nance introduces us to a Quincy child whose bike helmet saved her from serious injury.
About 2 years ago, 8-year-old Megan Long was riding her bike down an alley that had scattered loose gravel, and she had what could have been a serious accident.
I went over a big rock, and my bike kind of turned, and I flipped over, and then my face landed forward, and I landed on a big rock.
Because Megan landed face first, the amount of blood, and her reaction, Megan's family rushed her to the emergency room. She had a broken nose and needed some stitches.
While in the emergency room, they told us that most likely the helmet she was wearing prevented a head injury. We were really thankful that she had a helmet and she was wearing it. And for Megan, that day, wearing a helmet meant preventable serious injury.
Megan's mom, Vicki, has made it mandatory for her children to wear a helmet while riding a bike. And after Megan's accident, she's glad her children are sticking by the rules.
Get a helmet, put it on, get into the habit of wearing it, and just if it can save one child from having any injury, you know, it's worth it.
When I wear it, I just feel safe.
Robin Nance, KHQA TV 7 Eyewitness News, Quincy.
And tomorrow night at 6, Robin will bring us a live report from the Emerson Community Center in Quincy as the Adams County Safe Kids Coalition holds a special public viewing of CBS's Rescue 911, which focuses on childhood injury prevention. And of course, you can see that show right here on KHQA TV 7.
You know the number of bicycles has got to be going way up out there. The weather is just gorgeous for the last 24 hours. What about the 24 on the left?
Well, it was a pretty good way to start off your work week with some complaint-free weather, and we think we can hold it up for a couple of days before things change. Get all the details on weather coming up next. We got a lot of weather to talk about tonight as our forecast changes into the weekend, so we'll get right to it. Look at your current conditions right now. Clear skies, temperature of 58 degrees. Winds have diminished. They were gusting up to around 30 miles an hour this afternoon. Currently out of the west at 6 miles an hour. Barometric pressure on the rise and relative humidity at 67%. A look at your almanac for today. A high of only 71 degrees. Overnight low around 59. Normals for this time of year are 78 and 56. Your sunrise tomorrow should be around 5:42 a.m. Look now at area temperatures. Things are rather close to knit. Temperature in Pittsfield at 60 degrees, a degree cooler in Hannibal at 59, Macon reporting in at 58 degrees at this hour, 57 in Macomb. While National Radar picking up a few scattered showers, a few isolated thunderstorms still off around the Gulf Coast states in Louisiana, Mississippi, a few associated showers with that cold front moving through Indiana, Ohio, and along the Great Lakes region, and a few isolated thunderstorms popping up around the Great Southern Rockies region right now. We'll look at our current surface map and find out what's happening across the region. As you can see, this cold front draping itself across the southeast. Very strong low pressure center is what's fueling some of the rain showers along this front, and a developing storm system out from the Rockies we're keeping our eye on. But high pressure for the current forecast right now is building in, keeping the things rather clear. Here's what the last 24 hours look like on our satellite loop. You can see those storms firing up around Texas and into the Rockies right now. A lot of Gulf moisture feeding up along here into these storms, but high pressure, as I mentioned, trying to keep things clear and a little windy throughout today. Well, we're going to back this image up to about 7 o'clock tonight, and
A lot of people have been asking me, with all this cool weather, has Mother Nature been a little bit fooled, a little bit on the lee side about what she wants to do? Well, I think she gave us a clue tonight, as you can see. A little bit of a question mark forming across the eastern half of the United States tonight, eastern half of the United States. That strong low pressure wrapping the clouds around in that associated cold front, and then a nice little thunderstorm off on the Gulf Coast to dot that question mark. Well, we've got a handle on the forecast in the Weather Center, and here's where we're going to show you why. With our jet stream forecast, a warm dome is going to start to build up off into the west with some cooler air finally shifting out to the northeast. It will affect us Tuesday into Wednesday. But as this dome of high pressure builds off into the west by Thursday, some very warm air is forecasted moving to our region, bringing us back up into the middle 80s by the weekend. Well, here's your forecast for tonight. Partly cloudy and cool as winds continue to diminish. They'll be out of the northwest, probably still 5 to 10 throughout tonight. Overnight low around 46. Your forecast for tomorrow, still looking pretty good. Mostly sunny, cool and dry. But this is probably the last time we're going to be able to put this in our forecast, as some warmer temperatures are forecasted to come in. I expect your high, though, right around 72 degrees. Here's your forecast now for the next 5 days, taking us into the first part of Memorial Day weekend. Some pretty good complaint-free weather up until Thursday when clouds move in. Temperatures rise, too, mostly cloudy on Friday and Saturday. But those overnight lows getting a little uncomfortable into the middle 60s. So if you haven't done so already, check your air conditioning units and make sure they're all ready to go by the weekend.
This is an indication that summer really will get here.
It really will get here. It's about time.
It's supposed to on Memorial Day, isn't it? Thanks,
Always.
Bill.
Thank you.
Now looking at today's farm market activity. At Central Missouri Livestock Auction, there was no trend on hogs. They topped at $49. A poor test on sows. They topped at $41. At the interior hog markets, barrows and gelts 50 cents to $1 lower, topping at $49.50 in Missouri. Sows steady to up to $1 higher in Missouri, topping at $44 there. On the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, June live cattle contracts down 27 cents, June hogs up 2 pennies. And on the Chicago Board of Trade, July wheat down 4 1/4, corn down 1, beans down 2, and oats down 1.
Cash grain prices in Bungie Corporation, Hannibal and LaGrange, corn down 4, beans down 1, wheat down 4, down 5 in LaGrange, and Milo down 2. Quincy Soybean Company, Quincy and Florence, beans down 1, down 2 in Florence, corn down 2, wheat down 5, down 4 in Florence, soy meal up $1. At Ursa, farmers go up in Ursa and Meyer, corn down 3, beans down 2, wheat down 5, and at Cargill, Meridosha, corn down 2, beans down 3, and wheat down 4.
Big night tonight in Quincy at the YMCA. They dedicate the new field. We're going to take a little look at that story again. We were live there at 6. We also have baseball news from Southeast Iowa and some more local sports. So stay around, and we'll have it in just a second.
Lots of baseball on tap tonight.
Here, there, and everywhere. We'll start out with the big boys. Those St. Louis Cardinals, they sent Rene Arocha and his 3-0 record to the hill tonight in Montreal, rapidly emerging as one of the best pitchers on the Redbird staff. Arocha had another good outing against the Expos. Let's take you up north of the border to Canada and see how things went. There is a lot of action in this one. The Cards take an early lead. Mark Whitten draws the bases-loaded walk. Bernard Gilkey scores. Jan again. That was the story in the 8th. Moises Alou, a sac fly. Lou Frazier comes in to score. No, there was not a lot of offense in this one. We go to extra innings, more specifically the 11th. Luis Alicea will come up and triple down the line right here. 2 runs come to score. They add a run later. They would win 4-1. Lee Smith picks up his 130th career save as a St. Louis Cardinal. That is #1 on the all-time list. The Mets and the Phillies, they met tonight at the Vet. Pete Incaviglia comes up, home run, a solo shot. He's off and running in this one. Later, it's going to be Dave Hollins. He'll get up to the plate, 2 on. Frank Tanana gives up a 3-run shot, #7 on the year for Hollins. Incaviglia had the good bat with him today because here it's Incaviglia again in the 8th, a solo home run. I think you get the picture. The Phillies win 6-3 is the final score in that one. They hang on to first place in the East. Just 44 games into the 1993 season, the Cincinnati Reds have pulled the plug on manager Tony Perez, firing the first-year skipper today. One of the most popular players in Cincinnati. I wonder what Marge Schott's popularity rating did today when word spread across the Queen City. Cincinnati is 20-24 on the year and 9.5 games out of first in the National League West. The Reds wasted little time. They hired Davey Johnson today to replace Perez. The 50-year-old was an insurance policy brought by Schott in the offseason. The former Mets manager was working as a special consultant for the Reds before his promotion today. The Detroit Tigers Bat Brigade has that Motor City team armed with the best record in the American League. Sparky Anderson turned his troops loose this evening for a game with the Boston Red Sox. Balls flying out all over the place. Boston was up 5-1 at one time. The Tigers come back to tie the game, though. Lou Whitaker drives in Milt Kyler. We were even Steven at 5 apiece. We'll go to the 10th. Bob Zepsic doubles. Scott Cooper scores. Boston wins 6-5. It took them 10 innings to get the job done. Toronto gets 2 home runs out of Devon White. They beat Milwaukee this afternoon, 4-1 the final. Same story at Cleveland. The Indians over the Rangers, 4-1. And Baltimore in a wild one beats the Yankees. Final score there, 8-6. A big night for local baseball this evening. The Mel Tappy Memorial Field was dedicated at the YMCA in Quincy. More than 400 fans and 150 participants showed up for the event, which included presentation of plaques and, of course, the singing of the national anthem to start the games. I spoke with the event's organizer, Brian Hill, tonight at 6 on Eyewitness News at 6, I guess it is. And he said that as 2 of the best ball players to come out of Quincy, Mel and his brother Al will always be remembered as Mr. Baseball.
Al went on into to the big leagues and did manage the Chicago Cubs. Mel had an injury in the minor leagues but didn't make it.
I got a couple bases. 10 teams participated in the Memorial Games. Each team was allowed to bat through and was ahead at the end of each side's turn at bat won the game. I'll get that out. A pair of Southeast Iowa high school baseball teams have a chance to play a game at Busch Stadium in St. Louis this summer. Keokuk and Fort Madison High School have set a tentative date of July 11th to play at Busch. Both schools have to sell 1,000 tickets each to play there. For $9.50 a ticket, you can see the high school game and then stick around and watch the Cardinals play the Colorado Rockies. For more information, you can contact either high school. Both Quincy High and Quincy Notre Dame's girls soccer teams opened up the playoffs this afternoon. Let's start out with the Lady Raiders of Quincy Notre Dame. For the home game against Pleasant Plains, Lori Thomas continues to come up big for QND. This is the first of 4 goals on the day for Thomas. Give the assist to Tara Altop. She also helps out on this goal by Tina Sohn. The Lady Raiders, they cruise. 5-0 is the final score in that one. They get their 19th win of the year. Quincy High was also a winner today. The Lady Devils get to Alton Marquette early and often. Brandy Six will score on this corner kick off of Mandy Billingsfoot. Just minutes later in the first half, Six will score again on an upper post shot. Quincy High wins by the final count of 3-0. Now, Quincy High will meet Quincy Notre Dame. That's in the next round of the playoffs. That's Thursday evening at 7 o'clock at North Campus Field. A week after his team was knocked out of the playoffs by the Chicago Bulls, Lenny Wilkins has resigned as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Wilkins handed in his resignation, saying he's had 7 great years in Cleveland, but it's now time to move on. The second winningest coach in NBA history, Wilkins must have nightmares about Michael Jordan. His Cavalier teams made it to the playoffs 5 times, and 4 times the Bulls knocked him out of the postseason. No word on who his replacement will be at this time. Bulls tomorrow night. Get ready to do it again with the Knicks.
We'll be ready. Thanks, Rick. Coming up, Lisa Brill will show us how the Hamilton, Illinois Police Department is using man's best friend to catch the bad guys.
Here's a look at some of the stories we'll have tomorrow night on KHQA TV7 Eyewitness News. TV7 Southeast Iowa Bureau Chief Lisa Brill will have the second part in her series in solid waste in Lee County. KHQA TV7 reporter Mary McGuire will have an update on the labor dispute between Central Illinois Public Service Company and 2 of its unions. And KHQA Hannibal Bureau Chief Sarah Dian will have a preview of what could be a volatile Hannibal City Council meeting. And medical specialist Bonnie Kirschman will have her Baby Your Baby report.
Finally tonight, there's a new man, so to speak, on the force in Hamilton, Illinois. Tonight, KHQA TV7 Eyewitness News reporter Lisa Brill introduces us to Rocky, Canine Cop.
What he's looking for is something other than nature scent.
Oh.
Okay. Anything with the human scent on it, he'll find.
Meet Rocky, Hamilton's new man in blue, or should I say brown?
The whole idea behind the dog is to drug trafficking, to slow that down. And we have
Of course, the dog's trained to track people. Suspects that might flee from an arrest, might run from the car. He's trained to track that individual to the end.
Back.
Rocky will be Officer Gary Platt's partner. The two trained together in Springfield.
He's protective of me. If somebody attacks me, he's very protective of me now. So we'll get to be real close.
Just like a real partner.
Just like a real partner.
That's a good boy.
18-month-old Rocky came from Germany, where he was trained. His price tag, $3,200. Police Chief Walter Stellan says if Rocky can detour drug traffic from coming through his city, then Rocky's worth every cent. That's cent. Rocky sniffed out this bag of marijuana hidden in a hubcap.
We have two major highways coming into our town, Illinois 96 and US 136, and we kind of looked at it in that regard. Quincy's to the south, Macomb to the east, Keokuk to the west, and Burlington to the north. So we believe that there obviously has to be some type of drugs moving through our city, and we hope to be able to detect those drugs and remove them from our community.
Watch out, West Central Illinois. Rocky, K-9 cop, has reported for duty. Lisa Burrell, KHQA TV7 Eyewitness News, Hamilton, Illinois.
Doug looks serious
Looks
about
like
that.
A good addition to the police force.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us. Sorry.
Would you like to?
No, I can do
that. Okay. That was great stereo.
Yeah, what?
We'll see you tomorrow.